Okay. My name is Glenn Stewart. I participated in Desert Storm, Desert Shield with 13th Signal Battalion, 1st Cavalry. My symptoms are and have been confirmed with the RAC in Washington, D.C. I participated on March 10th, 2014. IBS, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, mental cognitive dysfunction, sleep apnea, etc. These are ailments which I submitted claims with the VA, and are considered presumptive conditions to go for illness. However, every single item was denied. Current claims are in appeal status. I've hired an attorney at Lincoln, Nebraska to work on my appeals. Appeals started in 2012 and have yet to be resolved. So in essence, the Veterans Administration says that these issues are presumptive to GWI, but at the local level, they are still denying claims, and I understand the RAC does not work on claims. However, at the local level, they are still denying claims for each one of these items. I don't know if this is intentional or a failure to educate the local raters and reviews the current policy. Why I do say intentionally, because as you can see from my last CMP, I've got many of these items highlighted in red. I got so sick and tired of when I got out of the military, I was one of the sneaky ones. I made copies of all my medical records before I got out because I knew there was something wrong, but nobody was giving me answers. So I made copies of everything I had, just in case further down the road, if I started developing some kind of health problems, I could go back to the VA and say, hey,
your conference is scheduled
here's my medical evidence. So I submitted all those records to include 485 images from my PET scan, right? Uploaded to e-benefits, gave all that evidence. I even gave them pictures of my bowel movements as evidence, saying, look, this is not normal, right? And after they denied the CMP, I was so furious. I got hold of the VA and said, I want a copy of every single file you have, because with every single piece of paper that I gave you, every file that I gave you, there's absolutely no reason you should have denied that CMP. So I dissected it, and that's what I've done. This is publicly on my webpage. Of course, I've omitted the sensitive data. It's up on my page. And I put it on my page as basically to show the public, look at this. Look at everything, all the mistakes, everything that was missed, everything, the lies. I caught them lying on here, and I highlighted it. So it's up on the web. They decided they want to shut me down. Go ahead, I've got a backup. Anyway, getting back here. All right. We've all heard this story over and over again, right? I've gone back researching Gulf War illness. I have gone back on video footage back to Brian Martin, and if you guys know, that's how far back I have gone on video footage trying to investigate what has been testified, what has been said, and what changes have been applied. And you know what? To this day, you could take the testimonies from back in 1996, hit the rewind button, play it over again, same thing. 2013, finally, in 2013, I'm finally starting to see a progression. But all the way back from 1996 to 2012, Nothing. Nothing. I mean, how people like Anthony and Denise have been able to do this for 20 years is beyond me. They have the patience. I do not. I don't have the tolerance nor the patience to endure 20 years of this kind of mediocrity. Anyway, okay. I want to tell you guys a story, right? I want you guys to close your eyes just a moment and picture this, right? I'm going to tell you a story of a soldier. He was a veteran in the 82nd Airborne Division, Operation Just Cause, veteran of Operation Just Cause, Panama veteran of Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield. My brother's name was Timothy Gable, where I had a dog tag made with his name, with his date of death. And I'll tell you why. Timothy was a father, a great patriot, and loved his country. In 2010, Timothy submitted claims for the VA due to health issues related to go for illness, joint and muscle pain, CFS, sleep disorder. Then came back to wait. Then came the wait and the denials and the appeals, and still waiting for the VA to help this brother and his family. He had to quit his job as a correctional officer in December 2012 due to his health issues. On May 28, 2013, he seemed okay. But that night at 6 p.m., he said he felt really bad and was going to go to bed and try to sleep it off, like many of us go for veterans often do. We tend to get loopy. It's like, let me just take a nap. Maybe I can take a nap and I'll be okay in an hour or two. That's what Timothy tried to do. So he came downstairs from the bedroom, but seemed really disconnected. And the words of his wife, it was hard to describe, but like he wasn't really there. It was like a third person. He was talking as in a third person. So he went upstairs to take a nap. His wife goes upstairs to check on him. She talks to him for a minute, but senses that he is not even aware he is talking to her. She says, "I'm going downstairs." Suddenly, bang! She hears the horrifying sound and can smell the burning in the air. She yells, "Tim, what was that?" However, her heart sinks before she can even ask the question. Why? Because she knew the answer. She already knew the answer. However, she still asked it. Right? She runs over to his side of the bed as she already knew the answer. She runs over, sees his eyes fluttering, and her suspicion confirmed. Tim is gone. Another victim of the VBA red tape. He left behind a loving wife, a beautiful young girl, which was 16 at the time, and how was and will be Daddy's little girl. Timothy wanted to fight. He wanted and fought to live. My brother wanted to live. However, his ailment progressed, his cognitive deterioration, his body, his mind were gone, were done fighting. GWI on this day claimed another victim and left behind loved ones to deal with their emotional scars. Just recently, their daughter attended her prom, and it breaks my heart because I can only imagine how much Tim would have loved to have been part of this event. The given right of all fathers, to stare down their daughter's prom date and glare at them and with that fatherly look, get out of line, young man, and there will be trouble. Rest in peace, Timothy. Rest in peace, my brother. I promise to your wife, I will not give up the fight, and I never will, my brother. Now, closing. As a veteran suffering from Gulf War illness and new to the advocating for fellow veterans, I will push forward for the following changes to the VA system. 1, the RAC should not report to the VA and has its members appointed by the VA. This is totally illogical. Would the dog ever bite the hand that feeds it? In doing so, the VA is at full liberty to ignore any recommendations by the RAC and simply say, "At ease that noise," and force the RAC into compliance. 2, the RAC needs teeth. A dog that just barks and no bite has no validity for protection. The RAC needs to report directly to the House Committee of Veteran Affairs on its own budget. The RAC must make recommendations to the House. These get passed on to law, and then the RAC polices and would report violations of the law for prosecution, criminal prosecution, negligent homicide. That's my brother's death, Timothy Cable. In my opinion, somebody should have been criminally charged for that. That's negligent homicide. Nobody will. Never happened. My opinion, it should. The request for Gulf War veterans to participate in the Risk Center research needs to be made available online so that veterans can submit their own requests to participate. Currently, the local referral process is not working. It took me 9 months to get the referral from the RIS, and I had to print out all the email correspondence, all the My Healthy Vet secure messages. I had to print out all that stuff and take it down to the VA, the clinic's VA patient advocate, and say, look, it's been 9 months. I even gave them pictures. It was so simple. It said, step 1, put the veteran's name, click the next button. And it was so simple that I could have gone in there, logged into their own system, and processed done my own referral. However, I had to go to the advocate's office, and I went off on him. And when we finally went to my PCP to get the referral for the Risk Center, I sat there right there with the doctor to make sure that all that data was put in there and you hit the send button, because I'm not going through another 9 months of this. That's outrageous. It is not our job to educate the local PCPs on procedures and current policies. That needs to flow downstream. I mean, think of it as a chain of command. I mean, the order comes from the general, it flows downstream. You know, it's not the private's job to educate the captain. It's the general's job to educate the battalion commander, flow it downstream. I mean, that's how it's been in the military. That's how it needs to run right now. If it's not run that way right now, it needs to get fixed. There's apparent deficiency there, and it needs to be corrected. And finally, the practice of using the term CIM and the push by the undersecretary must stop. I and other veterans I have spoken with find the terminology highly offensive. We view this as another attempt by the VA to camouflage Gulf War illness and lump everything under one umbrella. In the past, the term of Gulf War syndrome was used. That's no longer acceptable. Why? Because the term is an implied condition. Several researchers have blown this myth of syndrome and the ideology that this is a psychosomatic condition in nature away. This is in fact an illness, and as such, the correct term must be referred to as Gulf War illness. Thank you.